Okay, we are back again. Welcome to another episode. So stoked to have you here listening in. Now, today, I want to ask you a couple of questions. Do you feel like you don't really know what you want anymore? Like you're kind of just going through the motions, not really driving towards anything, you know, no big dreams or goals on the horizon, just kind of meh. Or maybe you know exactly what you want, but you have no idea how to actually make it happen. Or you feel like you have been trying to get there for so freaking long, but there's just something in the way. If you are in either of those camps or a variation of the two, you are welcome because today's guest is going to give you a little bit of tough love that you really need to get out of your own way and stop hiding so you can step up and into your highest potential. Sound good? Great. Let's go. I am so excited to introduce you to our guest today. If you haven't crossed paths with this man yet, you are in for a real treat. He is here with a huge mission to give you all of the tools you need to dramatically amplify your whole life. And I can guarantee from my own personal experience that you're definitely going to walk away from this episode with a fire in your belly and probably at least 5 ways you can start changing your life right now. So please welcome the Kingmaker himself, Mr. Carlo Chincarini. Welcome to the show.
Crystal, so good to be here. So excited to do this with you. I'm gonna have to have a lot to live up to now. So hopefully I do that. I do
You
that.
always over deliver.
I try. I
Yeah,
try.
yeah,
So, but
yeah.
you set the challenge, so I'm gonna have to now.
Alrighty, well, that's great because I really just want to dive right in, just get right in there, get stuck into it today because for the people listening to this podcast, they are ambitious, they're impact driven, they're here for big things. They know they're here for more than an average life. Even if they're not 100% sure what that looks like or how to make it happen, they just have that inner knowing. The thing is though, and you and I have spoken about this a lot in the work we've done together, is actually stepping up and claiming the responsibility of that is really scary.
Mhm.
So I want to ask you right off the bat, what is the one thing that you wish more people knew?
What's the one thing I wish more people knew? Uh, the importance of clarity and vision, and how clarity and vision is going to fast track so much of what we do and where we want to go, and simplify life at a real fundamental level. uh it's something that we see across the board with so many people. There's a disconnect between the intellectually knowing and then the knowing from deep inside.
Mm.
Okay, so that kind of difference between going for the things that we think we want, because society might say that we should want things to be this way, and then actually going for the things that we actually want. So many people go for the things they can get or they think they can get, rather than creating a life and a version of themselves that is going to allow them to go for the things that they actually want. And it might seem like a very simple and basic and non-important kind of like, yeah, well, duh, this sounds right, this sounds pretty basic, right? It's not that important. But the more you dive into it, the more you actually self-reflect around it, the more you realize, well, holy shit, have I actually been going at life going for the things that I think I can get, that I think I'm able to, or that are within reach right now? Or am I actually going for the things that I deep inside I want? Because the difference in there is that the things that you actually do want are actually the things that deep down you're searching for all along in everything that you do. But the thing that gets in the way is that in order for you to go for the things that you do want, you need to face your deepest demons and the actual shit that is actually creating the life that you have now that you don't like. You following? So
Yeah.
in order for us to make that little jump, we need to face ourselves, and we need to face the only battle that there actually is, and that's between you and you. And that's where so many people get stuck. And I suppose it's a long-winded answer to your question, but that's, we've seen this across the board for everyone. The question that I always ask myself is, hey, how do I help someone compete in life? Or how do I help them, whether it's in sport, business, or whatever? How do I actually help them compete and get results and perform better? And it always comes down to the foundation is, do they know what they want, and are they going after what they want? And are they the person they need to be in order to go for what they want?
So a long answer, but really it's not, because it's pretty simple. Like you're saying, like if you actually know and you take the time to figure out what you want and then don't overcomplicate it, because that is the biggest thing that people get themselves stuck with. They think that what they're searching for, or the answer, it has to be this big complicated thing. And when they hear such a simple answer like that, they're like, that can't be it. It
Mhm.
can't be that simple. Because if it was that simple, like, why have I wasted so much time, energy, pain in my
Yep.
life if it was really that simple all along?
Yep.
And that's really part of the human condition, right? Like we
Yep.
we overcomplicate because,
Yep.
like you said, we're up here instead of, trusting our intuition and our inner knowing and what we know is right for us, and
Mm.
too busy over intellectualizing, and also too busy worrying about what does everybody else tell me I should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I've studied this and I've come to that conclusion, not because I wanted that to be the conclusion, but simply because it is. And I've literally reverse engineered from multi-million dollar companies to elite athletes to individual business owners like yourself to myself, my life, and literally anyone that I could study. And I went back and I said, okay, we want, there's this thing in mind that we want, which is an end goal of whatever that might be, but why don't we have it?
Mm.
Why is life the way it is right now? And I encourage you to, like anyone that is listening, go and do your own work, go and do your own research and figure out why are things the way that they are. And you'll find the same thing that I found is that at the very, very step one is that you need to know where you want to go and what you want, because otherwise we can talk about actions, we can talk about habits, we can talk about the subconscious mind, we can talk about all these things, personal development, but if we don't know what we want,
Mm.
then, and we don't have a vision of getting there, then everything else, doesn't it become a bit of a waste of time? Because you could be doing a lot of really good things but going in the wrong direction of what you actually want. So if it's going in the wrong direction, well, it's a waste of time, and it's a waste of energy, and it's a waste of hope, and a waste of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
If we go in and we say, okay, this is what I want, but then that very quickly then leads into the next thing, which is, you touched on it as well, is that if I realize that, hey, something actually so simple, part of me does want it to be more complicated, because then it gives me a an excuse, it gives me a way out, gives me a justification as to why I don't have it, and
Yeah.
why, I might not be good enough, or whereas in truth you are good enough, and it's painful to look at it because you've got the same things at our disposals as everyone else to an extent. Okay, I'm not saying we've got the same amount of resources or whatever, but we still have the ability to choose, the ability to choose our thoughts, the ability to choose our emotions, and what we focus on. So that is equal to everyone else in the world. It's just what we apply that to, which has got to be led by a vision.
Yeah. 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 I really have been thinking about that a lot, and I did talk about this on a live yesterday around that idea of, like, because it is that simple, we don't want it to be simple, because then we don't have that excuse of, oh, it's too big, it's too hard, like it's the system, it's this, I can't, And that lets us stay safe, and it also lets us not have to take that responsibility. Like I said at
Mhm.
the beginning of the show, like it gives us that ticket out to not have to step up and take the responsibility of, I have this knowledge and wisdom and this gift, and I have this ability to see this problem in the world and fix it, but I don't want to take the responsibility of that. So what do you think it is that makes us so scared of stepping into our power and taking that responsibility?
Probably comes down to two things: a lack of self-worth internally, and the self-belief that comes from that. So the self-worth piece, it's kind of pretty self-explanatory, because if we break it down and let's analyze it for a second. So let's say someone doesn't fully step into the power. They don't want to take the responsibility. Why? What's really behind that? And there's got to be a set of beliefs and conditioning and thought process and an identity that says that, hey, I'm probably not good enough to do
Mhm.
this, because I've been taught through life that I'm not good enough, and I don't see myself as worthy of having those things. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to stop myself from doing that. And I'm going to put all these convoluted ways in things in the way, so that I can prove to myself that actually, hey, I wasn't worth it.
Mm.
And hey, actually, I'm not good enough to have that. So, and on the flip side, what would happen if someone was feeling worthy of themselves and worthy of whatever thing that they were going for? As soon as you start to feel worthy of it, you're a match to that thing. You're the same,
Mm.
right? You are one. And if you're one, you can't be two. You got to be one. You got to have what you are. There's no other way, right? So as soon as you become worthy of it, then or you have an idea, this belief that, like, hey, this I am good for this. I'm capable of doing this. It feels right. Like deep down, I know that I am right for it. Then all of a sudden, what happens is that if from that belief system and self-worth system, then you're going to go and take certain actions. And from those certain actions, you're going to achieve certain results. And those results go back to validate the belief in the worth system. And then you're just in that cycle. But the lack, again, we go back to that lack of worthiness around that. And just on the self-worth thing, not everyone is worthy of what they want by virtue of not doing the actions that are required, right? So everyone's like, yeah, I'm worthy of abundance. Well, yes, because there is a base value and worthiness of every single um thing in this world, but at the same time, when everyone else is worthy of it, then we're going to be separated by, in an economic world, especially if we're talking money or something in a competitive thing where there is someone else doing it, right? It's whoever does the work is
Yeah.
most worthy of it, right? So there's got to be a realness around it as well, and not just be, you know, delusional around, oh yeah, I'm saying that I'm worthy and I just sit here and do nothing, then I'm not going to be worthy of it. I gotta have
Yeah.
to go out and do it. But again, like, if it starts with us making a choice and actually saying, you know what is actually stopping me from being worthy of this? And then, okay, now we go under and we peel back the layers of the onion, and we say, okay, what's stopping you from taking the actions? And it's always the same things.
Yeah.
It's always the same things. It's, yes, there's belief system, there's sabotages, there's some sort of fear, there's an assumption of something.
Yeah.
Instead of calling it a belief, I think if we relabel it and we call it an assumption, I have an assumption that the grass is green, right? All of a sudden, I'm able to challenge that a little bit more until I can actually find the truth and the fact in it.
Mm,
And that's a silly example, but we have assumptions about ourselves,
yeah.
and we have ideas and these things that we call beliefs. But if we say, well, I've been running the assumption that I'm not good enough. Okay, that's an assumption. It's not set in stone. There's no certainty there. Let's find what the facts are.
Yeah. I
Is that
think
actually
one of my favorite things that you have asked me multiple times when I've come to that point of like, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, is that actually true? When I'm like, oh, I'm failing, is that actually true? And it's what you're just talking about. It's diving into actually figuring out, where is this really coming from? Like, where is it really coming from, and getting clear on it. Because normally what's going to happen when you come up against that self-worth piece, and I'm so glad you mentioned, the fact that you are inherently worthy, but the work makes you worthy of that expanding further. Because usually when you come up against that self-worth piece, when you have been doing, you have been starting to do the belief reprogramming, rewiring, all of that stuff, is you're not doing the work.
Mhm.
That's usually where the self-worth piece raises its head and stops you. And when you dive deep, it's like, yeah, I'm actually not doing the things that I said I was doing. I'm actually not doing the daily processes, or showing up the way I'm supposed to be showing up. And I know that, and I've just been ignoring it for a bit. So I think it's interesting with self-worth, because you say it's self-explanatory, but I think it is the hardest thing for people to get right. And I think it's the thing that trips people up the most. So let's give everyone listening, what's like, let's just give them two things. What are two things they could start doing today that's going to help them, first of all, start cultivating the self-worth, and align it back to that clarity piece? Like, if this is what I say I want and I'm here for, what are the things I need to do to align to achieving that?
Yep. So audience is mostly business, correct? Like people in business want to grow their life.
Yeah, just
Yep.
impact driven in any way,
Okay.
shape, or form. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So it's very much connected to self-esteem as well. Okay. And the only way that there really is to raise your own self-esteem is to do what you say you're going to do. Because as soon as you know whether you respect yourself or not, whether you say stuff and in the back of your mind you're like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do this shit, right? Like I talk about it, but I'm not going to do it. So as soon as you actually start to put brick by brick and start saying, hey, I'm going to do this thing today,
Mm.
then that's your whole life's purpose that day, to get that thing done. Because if you don't do it, then you're just losing respect for yourself. Okay. So brick by brick, you seeing yourself doing these things raises your own level of self-respect, which, for some people, it's been 40 years of them undoing all of that and having to rebuild it. Right. So the more self-respect that you then build for yourself, because you see yourself doing hard things, you see yourself doing something that you actually you respect yourself for, all of a sudden you go like, wow, holy shit. Like, okay, I feel better about myself, right? I feel what I think of me is starting to grow.
Yeah.
Okay, starting to get better, and I treat
Yeah.
myself better,
And then
right?
you stop looking outside of yourself for that validation. You don't need it anymore.
Correct. And the only reason why you were doing that in the first place, of looking outside, looking for validation outside, is because you weren't doing it in the one place that actually counted. So you had to make up for it some way, which
Yeah.
was always empty,
Mm.
which it was never filling the hole in the way that that hole was meant to be filled.
Mm.
Right. So that's the way that's the reason why we do that. Right. That's why we go on social media, because think about it. If your life is freaking awesome and you live an amazing life and you love your life, Why do you need to go anywhere? Why are you trying to escape that life by going somewhere else?
Yeah.
So it's a whole different topic. So what I would say is make a simple commitment depending on where you are in your own journey. Find something that you can commit to yourself to, something hard, and it can be gradually harder and harder and harder to do, but something that you're going to be able to respect yourself for.
Mm.
Right. And as you keep putting brick by brick in place, then it just grows like a house. Right.
Mm.
So uh that's one thing that I would say. The second thing that I would do to grow that level of self-worth, it would actually probably be very simple, and it would be actually just, I mean, if we're talking in the sense of business, right? To be worthy around the goal that you want to achieve, through the clarity piece, right? That's why that's important, because if we don't know where we're going, then far out, and I don't know actually what I want, right?
Yeah.
Then it's going to be very, very difficult. But then it's just about doing the hard things, whatever those hard things are. And in business, it's very, very simple. There's only 4 or 5 things you need to do. That's it, right?
Mm.
In essence.
Mm.
And if you do those things and you know that those are the things that you need to do, and yes, they're going to be hard. Yes, they're going to be challenging. Yes, they're going to be painful, and it's gonna make you feel certain things that you've been wanting to avoid. But if you can just lean into that and just stay there and actually do it, it's like at the gym when you're underneath you're doing chest press, and there's a lot of weight on the bar, and instead of just quitting and letting that crush you, if you just stay there and you hold that, and your arms start shaking, your chest starts shaking, and you're like, man, I can't do it, but I'm just going to hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Eventually you find something inside of you to just keep pushing. Eventually you get to the end, right? It's in that moment of just holding on and enduring that you build muscle.
Yeah.
And as you keep doing it, it actually becomes it's very quick how fast we start to feel better about ourselves, and
Mm.
start to feel good about what we did, because we need to get to that point where you go for a run, you do your burpees or whatever, and you hit that wall, but you stay there, and you stay in that struggle bit, and then you get out through the end, because you're not going to die,
Yeah.
right? And that's the thought that we all get, like when you hit the wall, oh man, I'm going to die. I was talking about this to someone the other day who does triathlons and stuff, and we share about the same experience, that it's like, man, the brain just makes you think that you're going to die.
Yeah.
you, and it's not just physical stuff, it's a lot of things. You feel like, oh man, I'm not going to make it through this.
It's that live that you want to do, it's that truth that you want to share, but you're like, oh, if I share it, I'm
Yeah,
literally going to die. I'm going to be
yeah,
ostracized from the pack and I'm going to die.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. But then the reputation that you start to build between you and you starts to grow, because you,
Mm.
you get it done, you complete it. And at the end of the day, once you've got that, you don't need much else. Like, you
Yeah.
realize, like, man, I was just wasting so much energy and so much time and so much life on that stuff, thinking that I was going to miss out, thinking that I was going to be left behind, thinking that all this stuff was going to happen. And actually, none of that happened.
Yeah.
So hopefully that answers the question around the self-worth. I think through action, we'd fix so much,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And through clarity.
Yeah.
Clarity followed by action, followed by accountability, followed by just persistence.
Yeah. I think that clarity piece is so important. And then I think what we keep sort of circling back to is keeping it simple, because in business as well, a lot of the women I speak to in their business, they're so burnt out. And it is a business that they love and it is a mission they're here for, but they think they have to do so many things and they're completely burning themselves out because it's all busy work and it's
Mm.
not actually moving them forward. So, like you said, there's really only like 4 or 5 things you need to do consistently in your business
Yeah.
for that to basically take care of itself. So,
Yes.
there's that keeping it simple piece, and then
Yep.
also the choices piece.
Yep.
If you have that clarity and you say, I want this, is the choice you're making every single day a match to that or not? Are you
Mm.
saying I want this, but then doing 10 things that are the opposite of it? I think is
Mhm.
really important to be auditing on a daily basis, moment to moment, choice by choice. If I said, if I say I'm worthy of love, but then I'm walking around all day saying I'm ugly, I don't deserve it, I hate myself, I'm an idiot,
Mm.
your choices aren't matching what you said you're worthy of. So I think that's really
Sure.
important too, is being mindful of what you say isn't enough. It is all about the action
Mhm.
every single
Mhm.
time. And then keeping those small promises to yourself every single
Mhm.
day.
100%. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's been like one of the biggest pieces for me, like you mentioned burpees. So I'm doing, 50 burpees a day, and the aim is to do it for 365 days.
Yeah.
I think I'm up to like day 123. I forget every single day. I
It's
have to go
awesome.
back and check.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, and it sucks every
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
like
Doesn't get better, does it?
every single day.
Yeah.
But it's very simple,
Mhm.
and it's really the only exercise I'm doing at the moment. But it's super simple, and I'm keeping that promise every day. And I've had more physical change in my body than I have in periods where I've like pushed and pushed and pushed and like, run every day and done all these things. And at the same time, I'm seeing those results. So obviously, the belief, the action, the result, and I'm cultivating that self-worth,
Mhm.
it in such a small thing. Like,
Mhm.
and this is what you were saying, like pick something that is hard for you. A goal it has to, something has to change for it to actually be a goal. Like there has to be
Mhm.
some change in your life, your routine, your lifestyle you're making, but it doesn't have to be big. It can be
Mhm.
simple. Like
Mhm.
back again to keeping
Yeah.
it simple. Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm so proud of you for, and you should be very proud of yourself first and foremost for making it to that point. Is really cool. Especially knowing, the first part of it and
Yeah.
how difficult it was initially and all of that. So that's really cool. Uh and that's the thing. I'm very much a fan of that one, it just keeping it simple, keep it but with that consistency,
Mm,
right? Because we can do all the crazy stuff. And if you look underneath that, it's a lot of ego stuff that we want to always, there's the shiny object, there's the other thing, there's the other thing, there's I need to keep it sort of very busy and I want to keep it always exciting. Why? Because it makes me feel like I'm doing a lot and getting a lot
exactly.
done. But in fact, you're probably not really getting very far at all,
Yeah,
right?
not high return on investment activities.
Right. So if we do, and that's the reason why, we with that 365 exercise, coaching bro, that's what the whole idea was, to find that one thing that you could just stick to every single day, and then it will start to bleed into every other area of your life. Because
Yeah.
if you use the same concept in every area of your life, then you start to see results in all those areas too, in the same way that you're doing with your body, right?
Mm,
But we're addicted to always the new thing, always the first, always something new, and all these fancy strategies
mm,
and whatever else. But man, like everything that we want has been done before for thousands of years
yeah.
in very simple ways, without technology, without Facebook. Like people did it in the past. So how did they do it? And
Mm,
and if we just bring it down to the principles around our own, internal world, physical world, business, money, whatever it might be, then we bring it back to that self-worth piece. If you see, I mean, you've seen yourself do these burpees for 123 days, right?
yeah.
So I'm, you know, let's get some attention on that for you on your own podcast. But what do you, I'm curious, right? what's the difference between how you view yourself now to how you viewed yourself maybe 124 days ago?
Mm. Yeah, it's a really good question, and it evolves. It evolves week by week,
Uh-huh.
in doing that one simple thing. And and I really resonate when you were talking before about around it's around the self-worth piece, but also around like when you're not doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I had a very bad habit of that, of
Mhm.
saying I'm going to do something, and I do it for a little bit, and then I have a tendency to get bored because
Mhm.
of that culture of like what's next, but also my energy type, my human design is very much like ooh, lots of new things, and I get distracted very easily by the shiny objects and comparing myself to someone who's like 5 years further down the track than me, and like I want to be there now, and I'm trying to jump over
Mhm.
all the steps and just
Mhm.
get to the end. So
Mhm.
bringing it back and making myself do the same thing every single day
Mhm.
has actually been very grounding, because it's boring. Like, it is boring.
Mhm.
And I'm past the phase now where I have to make myself do it. It is just part of like what I do. But I have questioned it a few times. Like, do I really need to keep doing this? Like, can't I just let it go now? Like, I've done enough, right? But one, it's developing that self-worth and that certainty in myself, and um building that stronger relationship with myself, that I'm a bitch that does what I say I'm going to do, because integrity is a huge value of mine. So constantly, when you do that, if integrity is a value of yours, you're constantly going to be at war with yourself. But that's a whole nother podcast episode around integrity. um I've lost my train of thought, but anyway, so it helps with that. But it also, I took myself on a tangent, now I'm gone.
It's okay.
Anyway, creates the self-worth, creates evidence to draw from when I then go to do something in another area of my life, right? Like inside my business, where I'm like, oh, I'm feeling bored in my business. I might just like do something different, even though the time I've invested into these foundations in my business are
Mhm.
starting to get traction. But now I
Mhm.
have that evidence to go back to and say, well,
Mhm.
no, because look what happened over here
Mhm.
when you kept doing that thing. You kept repeating that one simple thing. Don't get distracted here now. Just
Mhm.
do it. Keep
Mhm.
going with it.
Mhm.
And knowing you can do hard
Mhm.
things. You
Yeah.
can make that choice every day. You can do hard things. And as a result of that, you start getting results.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's powerful, right? And again, it's something that we need to relearn because of society around us and everything that we've been exposed to, and the conditioning and how we've been taught. So there is that
Mm.
part where we actually have to put in the work, and it doesn't feel good, doesn't um always make sense. Your
Yeah.
brains are always going to bring up the stuff, and it's through that process that you grow.
Mm.
So I think you should be so proud of yourself for getting to as far as doing every day, and the person that it's helping you become. It's
Yeah.
really cool to see. And
Yeah.
I've seen your journey. I've seen
Thank
your
you.
growth, and it's really cool.
Thank you very much. And obviously, like, you've had a big part of that. So, which is why you're here to share your magic with everyone listening.
There is
Um,
no magic. There is no magic.
there is. Everyone has
No, it's
magic.
no, but you know what? And I've actually thought about this, right? There actually isn't any magic. It's just do the right shit. That's all it is, and it's freeing
Yeah.
because and I've coached kids, and now as a parent and that kind of stuff, and I take my kids to soccer and stuff like that, and I'm very interested to see how people talk to kids, and how we teach them, right? And a lot of them is like, oh, you're a superstar, you're a natural, you're amazing, and I'm very careful around that because this is probably a tangent, but fuck it, we're going on it.
That's fine. Yeah, we're here
The
for
thing is,
tangents.
the more we think that it's magic, and the more we think that there is something special about people, the further away we distance ourselves from our own ability to get there, because we're like, oh, they're they're natural, it's talent, I don't have it, I don't have that talent, I'm allowed to fail. But see, and even in my coaching, like, I wanted to think that it was something so unique and so amazing and so different about what I did, but it's actually not.
Yeah,
It's I think of myself in Mr. Basics, because first of all, that's all you need.
yeah,
And we need to actually go back and just do the basics, but then it's process. It's just do 5 things every day for the next 2 years, and you have a completely different life.
mm,
That's all it is. But we want the magic, and we want the special, we want the, unfortunately, a lot of the metaphysical stuff or whatever, because we feel like that's, I don't know, just gonna give us an answer to something, and an excuse or a justification as to why we haven't had it before. And I'm quite passionate about this, because I want to give people actually the power back to actually say, no, 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 it's in your control.
yeah,
A lot of it isn't, but the 4 or 5 things that you do every single day that are in your control have so much power,
yeah.
right?
You always have, um in terms of control, because that's a big word, and we were talking about this before we started recording. Like, you cannot control things outside of you. You
Uh-huh.
cannot control all the outcomes, and a lot of the time we fuck ourselves up by trying to control all the pieces and know exactly how it's going to happen.
Yes.
But you can control what choices you make every single
Yes.
day. Yeah.
100%. And that's the only thing. And so I do a lot of work with athletes and teams and whatever. And we talk about this all the time, because in order for, again, how can I help you compete more? How can I
Mm,
help you be more competitive?
mm,
Right. So already that question implies that you've got what it takes to win, just as
yeah.
a side note. But then, in order for me to help you compete in business, and helping you become everything that you can be in your own business, there's, and we talked about sales, we talked about money and all that. A lot of the time, that's a result that you can control. You can do your process right, but for whatever reason doesn't go your way. Okay, whatever. But what you can control is how you show up. It's how you, the things that you do over and over, the habits that you do over and over again, and it gives you control. Now, not from the control freak point of view,
Mm,
but from the creator point of view.
yeah.
Right? Because I'm not saying be a control freak and live in stress and be anxious all the time and be in complete scarcity. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying the exact opposite. That gives you the control that the person that was in stress and scarcity and lack wanted all along, but couldn't get, because they were coming from a place of lack, scarcity, and anxiety.
Yeah.
So so when you are in that creator mode and you're taking the right actions, control is the byproduct, is the
Yeah.
inevitable outcome.
Yeah.
Because now, like, all the other stuff out there is going to happen, and that's okay, and you let it happen, because hey, I'm just doing the stuff that I know is going to get results. And still, in although all of that stuff is happening out there, I can see still so much happening in my life going my way. Does
Yeah.
that make
What I
sense?
what I'm sort of seeing, with control, you can either be the control freak, or you can be refusing to take any control, and, "Oh, I'm so easygoing," whatever, like refusing to make a choice.
That's giving
And
up a responsibility that actually doesn't
yeah.
work.
Yeah. And what sort of brings you back into your power as the creator is the clarity piece, right?
Mm,
Because if you are laser focused on what it is you're here for and the direction you're going,
yeah,
then you make the choices that matches, and you don't have to fall on either side of that
correct.
spectrum.
Yeah.
Mm,
And then with the actions that we do take, and they, for every action there's a counter reaction,
mm,
right? So that leads to to the results that we want if we do the right actions that we need to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was a tangent. We've just gone on it, but yeah.
Look, all tangents lead back, right? And
Yes.
there's always value in any tangent. I'm
Maybe we
queen of
should start a
tangents.
podcast called
Love
The
tangents.
Tangents.
Like,
Just tangents.
I love
Yeah.
tangents. Love
Yeah.
them because
Yeah.
they always come back. And we brought it back. We brought it back to choices and clarity and control.
Somehow we just connected.
We're pros at it.
You just glued clarity at the end and just made it work.
That's one of my my gifts, making the connections, bringing it all together. Okay, so there is so much more we could talk about, but we are coming towards the end of this episode. So I do have one last question that I would like to ask you. It is a question that I ask everybody who comes onto the show. So what does the word fearless mean to you?
What does the word fearless mean to me? Fearless. Part of me wants to say that I've never been fearless. What I have been is being able to lean into and go towards the fear. And often at at events, and the way that I talk about fear is that it's like a flame, and most people it's as if if you can picture like a camera and you're watching it through a screen, right? And this flame is like a raging fire because the camera is like right zoomed in. It's almost like we're living in it. And then the camera zooms out and it becomes a smaller and smaller flame all the time that actually is like one of those sticky torches on an island that light up a path. So fearless. I think it'd be, for me, it would be, I think of like people, like great athletes that I follow, and they're able to just be the person in the arena, in the moment, not running away, not hiding, not shying away from the moment, but actually just willing to be there wherever there is, right? Whether it's on a sales call, whether it's in a confrontation, whether it's in conflict, whether it's in a game, whether it's in wherever, just and not the absence of fear, but just the overcoming of that fear, overcoming of that discomfort, and just being willing to be there.
Yeah.
Again, long-winded answer to hopefully some kind of.
But it's not an easy question to answer, and that's why I ask it, and that's why the show is called Fearless, because you mentioned discomfort, and everyone wants to just be like, bye discomfort, go away, magic pill, magic wand. But what we actually have to do is stop avoiding the discomfort, because we're trying to just like deal with all the symptoms of that discomfort and avoid it. But what we actually have to do is, like you said, is lean into that discomfort. What is the underlying cause of it? And know that you can't be in the game. You can't have an impact in the world. You can't go out there and make something new or create a life that doesn't exist or live your like a purely values driven life without experiencing discomfort. You just can't. And if you are constantly searching for a way to do that, you're never going to get there. So I love your answer.
It's a prerequisite, right? It's a prerequisite to any form of greatness, and greatness doesn't have to be the celebrity greatness in public. Greatness can be whatever your life is. So Yeah, I like that. And I think if we wanted to circle back and, connect it back to what we were saying all the way along, is that when you have that sense of self-worth, and when you have that, and your self-worth is strong, and you're not continuously doubting or searching for it, because you're working on it every single day, and you just have it, um, then it becomes a lot easier, I believe, to face whatever's in front of you,
Yeah.
to not run away from the discomfort, and
Because
and
you know
and
you're
to
not
to
going to
avoid it,
die.
because
Because you
you're gonna
practice.
die. But at the same time, you also realize that you're capable.
Yeah.
You're capable of finding solutions. You're capable of making it through. You're capable of dealing with whatever needs to be dealt with. I think
Mm,
that is a really great mantra, a really
mm,
great affirmation, that I'm capable of dealing with whatever comes my way,
mm.
right? Because all of a sudden that fear um, almost melts,
Yeah.
because if you're capable of dealing with whatever comes up, then you're open to whatever comes up, and you're open to, and you're more loose, and you're more relaxed, and you're more abundant, and you're more optimistic and positive, and you're higher frequency, right? You're in a better energy. You're actually more mobile, even in life. It doesn't have to be just obviously physically, but just you're on your toes metaphorically, so you're able to move forward.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like that question. It's actually a really good question. That initially my first response was, I don't, it doesn't really mean anything to me, fearless, because of just the relationship that I try to cultivate with fear, which is not
Mm.
perfect. It's always a work in progress. But um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good question. I
Amazing.
like it. Try to stump me. I like it. It's good.
No, I just like to
Yeah,
prompt
no, we
like
all know what you were
deep
trying to do. That's okay.
consideration, right? Like
It's
deep
good.
thought. And
Yeah.
I think something you do really powerfully actually is you are not afraid to pause and think before you respond. And I think a lot of us could practice that better because we always think we have to have an answer straight away, and we have to, like, you know, to be the authority, you have to be able to answer every question, you have to know what you're going to say, and like we need to slow down more and actually think about it and consider it, because the answer that came out from that pause
Mm.
was so much more powerful.
And yeah, that's a lesson that I had to learn, and I learned that while working in Israel with the football team that I was working with last year. But on the worthiness piece, that was something that I, because of a certain set of beliefs and insecurity within myself, I thought, "Man, I need to come across as the authority. I need to have that." So this is very kind of on point to what we were talking about. And
Mm.
in one of the way that it manifests that lack of insecurity is sometimes that always needing to just always have an answer, and
Mm.
realizing that, wow, actually slowing down and thinking, and allowing that comes from a couple of certain sets of beliefs and identities. And yeah, no, I appreciate you pointing that out. It's something that I hadn't talked about publicly. It's something that I had to work through in that, but it's yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, welcome. Okay, so thank you so much for coming and sharing your time and having that conversation with me. Where can people go to find you if they want more Carlo? Where do they go?
Yeah. You can find me on Facebook. So if you put Kingmaker in your search tab, you'll be able to find my personal profile. Feel free to send me a friend request. On Instagram, I have a couple of pages because Instagram decided to play up. So at the Kingmaker Coaching and the real Kingmaker.ig, that's Instagram. And on, I don't know if your people are on LinkedIn, but under my first name, I'm sure they'll be able to find the name and just copy and paste that in, and connect. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and I'll put those in the show notes as well so people can,
Awesome.
yeah, contact you directly. Thank you
Brilliant.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Fearless. I hope you got some incredible value out of that episode. I would love to know what you thought about that episode, what your takeaways were. Come over to Instagram, say hello, send me a message. I am really big on connecting with my community and building relationships that last. So please, please come over and let me know. And if you know that you're ready to take this information, everything you hear in this podcast, you're ready to take all of the pieces that you have experienced, here, there, and everywhere, and you're ready to start putting them into action, and you're ready to start moving in that direction of that life that you truly deserve and desire. Come over and check out Activate ED. It is a community for like-minded people to learn how to actually implement and integrate all of the personal development information that is out there, right? Like, there is so much information out there, and information is great to a point, but it's only implemented information that creates change and is powerful, right? So if you're looking for a safe place to come and experiment and explore and learn inside a supportive community, Activate ED is the place for you. We have masterclasses, we have weekly coaching, we have guest speakers come in and present. So come over to my Facebook and check it out on Instagram as well, or in the show notes below. I really look forward to seeing you in there if you feel called to it. I love you. I believe in you. Be amazing.